Moral Philosophy, Project 3. The Ring of Gyges. Three rings for the elven kings under the sky, 7 for the dwarf lords in their halls of stone, 9 for mortal men doomed to die, 1 for the dark lord on his dark throne, in the land of Mordor where the shadows lie, 1 ring to rule them all, 1 ring to find them, 1 ring to bring them all and in the darkness bind them, in the land of Mordor where the shadows lie. Those are the words from Lord of the Rings, a poem about the 3 rings for the elven kings, 7 for the dwarves, 9 for the mortal men, and 1 ring to rule them all, the Ring of Power, as envisaged by J.R.R. Tolkien in his book The Lord of the Rings. And he takes a very familiar story, one that has been in many, many stories down the years, that of a ring of invisibility granting to its wearer amazing powers, but at the same time being a terrible temptation to actually do wrong things with those powers. So here's a question. What would you do if you had such a ring? Pause the video now and write 2 or 3 things down on your piece of paper. What would you do if you had a ring of invisibility? You've probably written all sorts of things, from possibly robbing a bank to cheating on homework and in exams, and so on. Another question is, do you think you could resist using a ring of invisibility for your own advantage? Most of us would probably do things that please ourselves or benefit ourselves in some way. It'd be very difficult to think of an opportunity to actually use such a ring to help others and not ourselves. Can you think of one thing and write it down that you might do that would help others and not yourself? J.R.R. Tolkien wrote his story and it was published in the 1950s. But a long time ago, over 2,000 years ago, Plato tells a story about a ring of invisibility in his famous book, The Republic. This story has become known as the Ring of Gyges. In the story of the Ring of Gyges, Gyges is a poor shepherd looking after sheep on a hillside. One day there's an earthquake, and the earthquake reveals a cave that he's never seen before. Inquisitive, Gyges goes into the cave, and in the cave he finds a tomb, and in the middle of the tomb lies the body of an enormous warrior. The body of the warrior has on it a ring on the finger, and Gyges takes the ring, and there's a stone set into the ring. He soon discovers that if he turns the ring inside so that it points in towards his body, the ring becomes a ring of invisibility, and he can go about unseen. Immediately, Gyges realises that this is an opportunity. He gets himself elected to go to the king and report back on the state of the sheep and the flocks that are owned by the king. When he's there, In the palace he seduces the queen, and together he and the queen plot to kill the king, and Gyges becomes king in his place. Gyges has done just what anybody else would do. He's used the ring for his own advantage. As Plato writes the story, the point is made that even an honest man would be too tempted by the ring and would use it for himself. Last week we looked at 4 different things that drive our behaviour: moral duty, sympathy, conscience, and the consequences of our actions. But it seems that the story of Gyges points out that the moral duty, sympathy and conscience, the 3 which involve us thinking about other people and the effect of our actions on other people, don't seem to be the things that drive us. The one that drives us is the consequences of our actions, because if we could get away with something, then we would. That's the point of the story of the Ring of Gyges. We'll pick up on this idea and do an activity in class to see whether this is true for all of us too. In the meantime, there are a couple more questions on the worksheet for you to have a look at. See you next time.